Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is the mean, median, finding the quartiles, interquartile range, and using your calculator. All right, so let's do a little review. It says using the data below on the amount of time in minutes spent studying for a math test for 10 students, find the mean. Okay, so here's our data. This is how long 10 students spent studying for a math test. All right, so you have to have your calculator in front of you. So if you don't have your calculator in front of you, you need to put this video on pause and go get the calculator and then come back. Okay, so hopefully everybody has their calculator in front of you. So I'll know tomorrow when it's time to plug in data whether or not you know how to plug in the data. All right, so you're going to obviously turn your calculator on. And you're going to hit Stat. And you're going to go into Edit. Now, down here on the paper below is the steps on what you should be seeing on your calculator. I'll walk you through it. If you get stuck, look at what's down here. All right, so you're going to go into Edit. And you'll see L1, L2, L3. Those are your lists. If you have anything in your list, numbers, just scroll up to, let's say you have some data in list 1. Scroll up to where it says L1 so that the cursor is on L1. It's darkened on L1. Just hit clear and enter and it'll clear out what's ever in there for you. All right, so what you're going to do is now start typing in the data. So you're going to type in 34, enter. And then you type in 38, enter. 48, enter. 41, enter, and so on. Up until you have all of this data entered, and you should have 10 pieces of data entered into your calculator. Okay, after that, I'll give you actually a couple seconds to finish typing that in. Okay, after that, you're going to hit Stat. You're going to go over to Calc. And what you want is 1 var stat, the number 1. Hit enter. Now, it'll come up on your screen. It'll come up list 1 first. So just hit enter because that's where you should have plugged your data into, was list 1. We have no frequency because we didn't put anything into list 2. We will eventually have a list 2. And then we want to do calculate. So just scroll down and hit calculate. And you should see these two. You'll see this screen here, and then to see the rest of the information, you have to scroll down to see this stuff over here. Now, let's just say this is a question. Let's either on a test, or on the regions. What you need to do, if it's a free response, which means you have to show all your work, since this is a calculator-based question, you need to write down your entire calculator screen. Okay, so let's write it down. We should have X bar 42. That's your mean. The sum of the x's. So that big E means the sum of your x's. So if we added up all that data, we would get 420. The sum of your x's squared is 18,332. That big SX, that's your sample standard deviation. That's 8.768630,959. And you write out the entire percentage. Not the percentage. You write out the entire decimal. The next one is... Okay, sorry, that was my... my clock going off, so I just wanted to pause it till it was done. All right, so the next one is that it looks like an O with a little thing that comes off the top of it. That's sigma x. Okay, and what that is, that's your standard deviation or your population standard deviation. That's 8.318653737. All right, and then you're going to scroll down and you'll still see more. N is equal to 10. That means that's how much data you typed in. You typed in 10 pieces of data. Min X means your smallest number you typed in is 29. Quartile 1 is 38. That's your 25th percentile. The median is your 50th percentile. That's the middle number, is 40.5. That's the 50th percentile. That's quartile 2. Quartile 3, which is your 75th percentile, 46. And also the quartile 1 is also called the lower quartile. Quartile 3 is called the upper quartile. And then we have max X, which is the largest number you typed in, is 61. All right, so let's flip it over and take a look at the back. Okay, so this is what you have to know. I went through it, but it's just typed up for you back here. This is your mean. Your X bar is your mean. You also have to know that your mean can be labeled as what's called mu, which is a Greek letter, mu. Looks like this. Okay, so that's also the mean. I'll write it over here for you. That's the mean, which is also X bar. All right, and then again, we have that big SS, that SX. That is the sample standard deviation. And then I have this one here. That's your standard deviation. It's also called your population deviation. So you have to make sure you know which one of these is which. N is the number of pieces of data you typed in. Min X is the smallest piece of data. Quartile 1, first quartile. That's the lower quartile. That's the 25th percentile. The median is quartile 2. That's the middle number. That's the 50th percentile. Quartile 3 is the upper quartile. That's the 75th percentile. And then we have our max, which is the largest piece of data we typed in. You should also know this over here. The range, you should know this though. It's the largest number minus the smallest number. It's the max X minus the min X. This should look familiar from algebra. Your interquartile range is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. Okay, and this is just pretty much what I told you over here. We have the first quartile is the 25th. We have between the first quartile and the third quartile is 50%. That's the interquartile range. All right, so our mean for this data is 42. So X bar or mu is 42. To find the interquartile range, we would take the third quartile, 46, and minus the quartile 1, which is 38. Get 8. And let's see what else we have. All right, so we have our population standard deviation. That's this one here, sigma x. Okay, that's 8.318633737. If they ask for the standard deviation of population standard deviation, they don't tell you to round it. You have to write out the entire thing. To make a box plot, so hopefully you remember that from algebra. So you would draw a number line. You would put your smallest number down here, largest number up here. Then you have your quartiles 1, 2, and 3, and then you would draw the box, and then you would draw in those whiskers. Okay, so in this case, my smallest number would be 29, so I would put 29 on the number line. My largest number is 61, so I would have 61 on the number line. And then I would put my lower quartile, which is 38 here. And this would be 40.5. And then this would be 46. And the box here represents 50%. Each piece here, each one of these represents 25%. And that's pretty much it. And sometimes we use a double box plot. You can look at that over here. The double box plot would be used to compare two sets of data. Okay, so that's it, and we'll practice some in class tomorrow. Have a good night.